Hello beer tubers and welcome to yet another brewery showcase with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today showcasing a new brewery to me, Pulfer from Croatia. The second highest rated brewery in Croatia, and we got 5 of their beers to try, courtesy of Dan. Thanks a ton, Dan. Dan has been supplying so much Croatian beer, it's crazy. Especially over the last few weeks. They were very close to each other. He sent a set of beers, but from a web shop, and then apparently one of the cans, or not apparently, it happened, one of the cans was a really cool sounding spicy sour from Nova Ronda, broke in shipping. It looked fine, but then I just had it standing in a box because it was when we were moving, and then the box was wet, and then half the can had just like slowly seeped out into the box. But he got it refunded, and it was like, I'm adding a couple more beers. And also some beers from Just Michael, which is really, really nice of you. I think he's already drunk at least one of them. So thanks a ton for that, dude. But we're checking out Pulfer. They're from, I think, Zagreb in Croatia. I'm not sure. Are they nano brewery? No, it says micro brewery. But it's one of the highest rated. This is a brewery that gets around a lot. Some of the beers from some European breweries can be hard to get, but it seems like Pulfer are on a lot of big name web shops and people are really enjoying what they do. So I'm looking forward to be trying this range of beers that I got. So we've got 5, as I said. We've got their Scareweiss, a Hefeweizen. We've got their Neverland, a West Coast lager. And we've got the Dark Quasar, a black IPA. And then we've got their Hop Pot, which is a collab with Beretta Brewing, which I've also done a couple beers from. A double hazy New England IPA, and then Ianus Insanus Imperial Pastry Stout. We're gonna pour on camera because we've got so many beers today, and the kids are asleep. And you know how it is with kids. You gotta be quick. So I tried to roll this can a bit just to get some of the yeast in suspension. There we go. They say this is a modern Hefeweizen, and what makes this modern is the fact that they use modern malts. It's classic German yeast. It is classic German hops, but then modern malts. Their art style is amazing. I love it. It reminds me of comics. It reminds me, like, Scareweiss just looks straight out of Batman. It could be like an artist rendering of Scarecrow from Batman, and it's a Scareweiss harvesting wheat. Love it. So 5% Hefeweizen. I've had some good experience with really great fresh Hefeweizen lately, so let's see how this is. I feel like often craft examples are nowhere near as good as the more modern ones. Classic ones. But yeah, frothy head, pillowy looking, white, nice head there, yellow, bright color. Let's check out the aroma. Pretty nice. It's not like super deep. It's fairly easygoing. Oh, you can really hear it when I swirl, can't you? On the new table. I'm gonna swirl like this. Definitely banana, a touch of sulfur. Like there is a slight sulfuric note there, matchsticky or something, but it's more to the phenolic side. I think the banana is there, but it doesn't have the same richness and density of like a classic German Weizen, making maybe the beer a little bit more modern. It's a bit more bright and easygoing, but I'm pretty sure that what they mean by modern malts is possibly the addition of like flaked wheat. And not just wheat malt, because classically I think most traditional German beers to be Reinheitsgebot, they have to be just wheat malt, malted wheat. That's to get around the Reinheitsgebot, and so they can have it on the label, I think, something like that. So yeah, some citrus to it as well, a lot of citrus. And then the banana is a touch, and then it's like mostly like a clove, maybe peppery note. Smells good. Let's try it. Cheers. Thanks a ton for the beers, Dan. First thing, dead on to style with the CO2 level. A lot of craft examples of Hefeweizen, they end up being so soft on carbonation. This is extremely high, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Like really effervescent, filling your mouth. And what's funny, I did not detect much banana on the flavor. The aroma the flavor on the other hand is low. It's not as chewy and rich as some classic German Hefeweizen. It's a bit more lighter bodied, but it feels fluffy, which is really nice. And really refreshing. 5.5% as well. You could easily kick back this. But I love it has like a bright bubblegum edge. It has like citrus. It has like a bit of spice, that clove, slight hints of black pepper. It has a lot of brightness and freshness and vibrancy. So I think it's also a fairly fresh can. That also helps a lot. All of these are quite fresh, fairly new releases. Maybe max a couple of months on some of them. I think it's just to try to be 100% honest, since they call it a modern Hefeweizen. In the description, not on the can, but online. It's a bit to have it as a sales pitch, because most geeks will be like, oh, Hefeweizen, I'm not going to drink that. Which is a shame, because it's a great style. This is a great interpretation. Up next is Never Everland, their West Coast lager. They've done a few apparently, which they have named after lyrics in songs, and this is something you might have heard before. If you look at my channel name and you think a little bit, you'll be like, "Up to Neverland." So of course, Metallica and Enter Sandman. So I don't think I've listened to that song in ages. It's been a long time since I've listened to Metallica. When I started this channel, I was a bigger Metallica fan than I am now, but it's still a band that's near and dear to my heart, especially the, well, not verse 3. So basically, Master Puppets, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All. Yeah, that's verse 3. Those are the best albums. So West Coast Lager, West Coast Pilsner. They've done 2 others. It's a style I think is really fantastic. It's something I hope to see more people brew. I can see already now. It looks like they've done this right. But I really hope to see more people do this, because it's such a nice breath of fresh air amongst the sea of haze and pastry. Clean beer that's dry with American or New Zealand, whatever hops. Our hops are Mosaic Simcoe and Lemon Drop. Beautiful, fluffy looking white head and just that clear, pin bright yellow color. Like, this is also what a lot of West Coast IPAs looks like these days. It looks beautiful. Let's check out the aroma. Sink it and drink it. First whiff of that, I'm instantly transported to the West Coast. Why are not more people doing this? Like, this is really hoppy. This could, like, blind, this could be like, oh, is this a cold IPA? Is this a West Coast IPA? It's really hop forward, very citric. There's definitely some pineapple nuances from possibly Simcoe. Very dank as well. Also like a little bit of a perfumey type thing to it. A Lemon Drop is not a hop I brewed with, so I don't really know the exact characters of that hop, but it's definitely lemony and zesty. But I must say, it smells freaking great. There's like all these candied citrus nuances to it. And then like this perfect bright canvas for the hops to shine. Like, I'm really impressed so far. Let's try this one. So, I said the aroma indicates like this is overly hopped. It isn't. It has a vibrant hop character, but it's not like exploding on your palate. Like, there's a really nice big hit of like grapefruit, a little bit of like zesty citrus, lemon, lime twangs. Like, it doesn't go into like so much sweet citrus. It's more like pithy and brighter citrus flavors with a touch of pineapple to it as well. And then like that bitter kind of pink grapefruit or something like that, or maybe more yellow grapefruit. Like, really, really citrus dominated with a little bit of a, like a spiciness to it, and also maybe like they say herbal themselves. I can see that. It doesn't go all the way into pine, I think, maybe lightly. And a nice bitterness. Like, it's not as overtly bitter as like a West Coast IPA. It's kind of like bitter as a Pilsner, which is awesome. It's very much modern lager beers. I think if you gave this to a beer geek and they drank it, they'd think like, oh, is this kind of like a West Coast IPA? And you'd tell them, no, it's actually a Pilsner. They'd be like, what? At least if people don't know about it. It seems like it's like the West Coast lagers is not something everyone has caught on to yet, but it's great. Like, again, I think this could be mixed up with like cold IPA, and then a lot of modern West Coast IPAs, they look like this. They are this bright and hoppy. That is really freaking great. It has a little bit of that candy kind of dankness to it as well. So let's get this one cracked and poured. Dark Quasar. There we go. Black IPAs, it used to be my jam. It used to be one of my favorite styles in the past, but you just rarely come across them these days. Wow, this is heavily carbed. A bit hard to pour. But yeah, like it's one of those styles that's pretty much faded away. It would be a style that'd be fun to see have a comeback of all the weird IPA variants that were like white IPA, brewed IPA, like some have stuck on. Of course, hazy IPA, cold IPA seems to be sticking around. Of course, the West Coast stuff, but black IPA, it's not something you find a lot. But people still make it once in a while, and there's a few famous black IPAs that had returns, like Wookie Jack from Firestone, and also Sublimely Self-Righteous from Stone. So this is, Dark Quasar. I keep wanting to say Black Quasar, but Dark Quasar, the hops in this, 60 IBUs, so nice bitterness to it, I guess. 60 is usually, where you start to get some good bitterness in West Coast beers. It's got Citra Mosaic and Simcoe in the Whirlpool, and then it's dry hopped as well with those hops, and then also Southern Cross Sub-Zero Hopkeef. So they also use Hopkeef. They're playing around with the freestyle products. I am doing that myself as well, and they're amazing. I actually just brewed a big hazy double IPA today, which is going to be Simcoe, Nelson, and Nectaron. And then this part of the Nelson is going to be Keef. But yeah, this looks great. It's black in color, brownish. Like the black IPAs, what is a true black IPA? A true black IPA is an IPA that is black in color, but doesn't taste like a stout, hoppy stout. So let's see. I mean, judging by the blackish brown nuance, I think this could be it. Tan head too. Ooh, well, there's definitely a hit of the dark malts. Like you can't help but get that, but it shouldn't be so much that it's overtly into rich maltiness as a stout. But there's definitely like a little bit of a coffee nuance to it. And also just like roasted maltiness. But other than that, definitely big citrus. It smells West Coast. It smells like grapefruity, slightly piney, slightly resiny. Southern Cross is not a New Zealand hop I've played with at all. So I'm actually not sure about the qualities of that. But there's not loads of like Southern Hemisphere twang to it. I think it's mostly like classic Pacific Northwest flavors, like pine, grapefruit, sweet kind of tangerine orange notes. And then there is maybe a touch of like a bright tropical fruit thing on the back, but it's kind of hiding behind a little bit of a wall of malt. But it smells great. It smells like a black IPA. Let's try it. Oddly enough, although the head was that massive, the CO2 isn't crazy high. That is also pretty good. It tastes, like a black IPA, but there's definitely some malt character. But it doesn't necessarily feel stouty. And it's interesting, you get bitterness from roasted malt, you totally taste that, and then also like sharp bitterness from hops, which is awesome. Bring back bitter beers. Oh man, I'm loving this and the Never Ever Land. So this is really grapefruity. For some reason, it's almost as if the roasted malt amplifies the grapefruit and pithy flavor. I even get like piney nuances to this as well, like kind of old school resiny too. Touch of sweet citrus as well to it. Touch of dankness. Touch of a bright twang, like a bright, snappy, generic, bright fruitiness. And I can't really pinpoint what it is, but I'm thinking it could be the keef that's giving that almost like a little bit of a sticky, dank, Southern Hemisphere. Like it's not really grapey, but it's like tropical, but it's light. I think the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest hops shine the most. For sure, for me, the best beers I've had from Croatia. These are really good. Up next is Hop Pot. So this is a collab with Boreta Brewing of Romania. This is a 7.8% New England double IPA. This is also a beer with advanced hop products, which is awesome to see. It's funny to see the descriptions on these beers. Like a lot of them seem so similar to what we're doing, at least in the modern spectrum. We also do a lot of really old school and classic beer, but we've really embraced the keef from Freestyle because it is amazing. It produces great results and it's gives you better yield. So look at this. Here we go. That looks like a bright juice bomb. That looks like how I want a hazy to look like as well. Impressive. So far, all these beers look like they're going to be up my alley, and you can sense that this is saturated just by that bright yellow color. And also the deep haze. A lot of the saturation in terms of look is saturation of hops, and you can also see it by the head retention. The head retention is really crap, and that's often because of loads of hops and hop oils. And I think also the advanced hop products, if you use a bit too much, this will also have the same effect, like you'll get worse head retention. Because it really looks ugly, the head. It's like big white bubbles. So maybe they use a lot of that in here. But this one is interesting because I'm wondering if this is a thiolized IPA. It must be because it's got some Phantasm products. Maybe they're using a thiolized yeast. There is one available now in Europe. So it's got Mega Motueka, which is Motueka and Phantasm, which is the powder for biotransformation made from Sauvignon Blanc grape skins. That has a lot of thiols, and we're not going to go into that because then this video will be even longer than it already is, but thiols can produce fruity flavor with the right yeast. Then Super Sauvin, which is Nelson with Phantasm, and then we've also got a Nelson Sub-Zero Hop Keef. This sounds like my kind of beer because Nelson is my favorite, modern hop. So let's check out the aroma on this one. Yep, that smells pretty good. It is very gooseberry and bright. Really sharp Southern Hemisphere, profile to it. But it's interesting. It's not just classic Nelson. And I think it really depends on the lot. A lot of time Nelson can be really gasoline-y, diesel-y dank. I really love that profile. I want that to be part of the profile when I use Nelson. I don't get that much of that right now, at least. Right now, it's like loads of passion fruit, bright tropical fruits, guava, pineapple, stuff like that, which smells lovely. But I love a bit of that bright, dank, diesel-y nuances. You shouldn't have too much of it because it can be overbearing, but a little, is nice. And I'm wondering if the Phantasm powder has helped open up some of these aromas. It smells pretty good. There is a little bit of a slight edge of sweet tropical fruit, but mainly it's bright, limey, zesty as well. It just smells Southern Hemisphere. It's earthiness to it as well. Stinky, catty, danky. A little bit, not super dank. It's a bit more to the fruity side, but let's try it. It smells good. Cheers. This kitty bites. But it's not too bad. But you can feel this is saturated. High CO2 as well, actually, for the style. It's a bit more sharp and fizzy compared to some of the American counterparts. I think it could have maybe a little less CO2 because it seems to disrupt the mouthfeel a little bit. It makes it a bit, I don't want to say harsh. Bright, very bright, guava, passion fruit, pineapple, zesty lime, lemon drop candies, loads of bright flavors. There's even almost underripe stone fruit to it, where it's snappy and sour when you bite into it, which is kind of nice. It's really good. It's not on the same level as some of the best from the States where they have everything dialed in and they can crop select and get the very best hops and everything. But if I brewed something like this, I'd be pretty stoked. And I think for a European attempt at haze, it's really good. It's really good. Up next is Ianus Insanus. We're finishing big. 10.6% Imperial Pastry Stout with chocolate, vanilla, and coffee. This is a big boy. It's got barley malt, wheat malt, rye malt, oats, yeast, hops, water, and contains chocolate, vanilla, and coffee. And also natural flavors. So that's the one thing I'm often when I see that, because that's the European thing. So many European brewers, also I'm American for sure, but when you drink the best pastry stouts, it's without natural flavor. But they're really expensive to make. But use the money on the real deal, and you'll often get a better product, in my experience. But sometimes you can boost the real deal with adjuncts and make it work really well, like in Turmoil Fluffernutter from Toppling. But let's pour this. Judging by this looks rather rich. I mean, these guys definitely know what's going on. It seems like, I don't know how old these guys are, but it's a brewery that I think with refinement, they can be on the top of the European scene in terms of what's trendy, but also what's not. Like, it seems like a brewery that really knows what they're doing, and it seems like they're on a path, on a process, getting even better. But you can see that stuff's going down. So that is rich looking. I did not expect that. But yeah, it looks nice. Let's take out the aroma on this one. So, dead giveaway. Instantly, this is loaded with natural flavors. And like, I'm so over it. Like, this smells like going to Starbucks. Get a Frappuccino, Mocha Latte, whatever they're called. Like, filled with these syrups. The Dunkin' to flavor your coffee. And that's what I'm getting on the aroma instantly. It's just massive hits of like sweet, like intense flavorings. And it's interesting, in the toppling beer, it seemed cohesive, although it was natural flavorings. But I think it's because there was a bit of the real deal in there. But the thing that held me back from giving great grades to that beer, calling it world class, was the adjuncts being flavorings. Because they just, I think they thin out the beer, they get too much, they're too dominating, they like hide the base beer. It's just, I'm not that into it anymore. I've brewed beers with fake flavorings myself. I've done it, and in my past job. And those beers, thinking back these days, is like, yeah, I don't think so. It's weird. Like, this smells like Werther's Originals to me. Werther's Originals with like coffee vanilla nuances. It doesn't have to say, like, if you smell a real vanilla pod, it has so much richness and layers. Like, there's leathery notes, there's fruity notes, there's like all this stuff going on. But the syrup extract is just like, or just extract, natural flavoring. It's just like ice cream or some like whatever vanilla. Like, yeah, it just smells a bit too fake for me. Let's see how it is on the taste though. Rich, decadent base beer, nice coffee profile to it. And I think the aroma indicated the flavorings dominating a bit more, but they're definitely still there. There is something butterscotch, Werther's Originals about it. And I wonder what kind of, if it's just vanilla flavoring, it may be the combination of vanilla flavoring and then crystal malts. Really full-bodied, really rich, really decadent. I think most modern beer geeks will freaking love this. But, and I'll say the base beer is really good as well. It's quite rich. It's like, you need to be at this kind of level of richness for a beer like this. This is so much more intense on that like Ben & Jerry's artificial thing. It smells like flavored coffee syrups from Starbucks and tastes like it too. And I think it overshadows so much, and it gets too much and gets too fake, and like I'm just not a fan of that anymore. And maybe it's a case of what Joe from Jaws Arcade says. He's done with hazies because he overdid it. He just went ham, hazy, everything had to be hazy. I've been the same. Everything had to be hazy. Everything had to be pastry stouts. And now I was like, I want a Pilsner. I'd rather have the Hefeweizen and the Pilsner and the black IPA than this. And also the hazy. It sounds like I'm trashing it. It's actually, it's just a personal preference thing. I think the base beer that's in here is really good. It's quite roasty, but also sweet and fudgy. It's quite balanced. It could even do, I guess, fairly well in the barrel also because it's quite rich. But there's the flavorings. That's just what gets me. Like, it strikes a chord with me where I'm like, too fake, too Starbucksy, too yeah, I don't know, just not me anymore. Okay, so I sat here, sipped on them, tried to pick a favorite, and the easy winner, numero uno, is Never Ever Land. This is great. This is my jam, loads of flavor, not too strong package in terms of ABV. Really nice, and it has the West Coast flair, not as high bitterness as the black IPA, but really nice. That's my favorite. That's like a 93 for me. I think this is great West Coast lager. Please keep this series up and do more beers inspired by songs that are West Coast lagers with different hops, because you guys are good at it and it tastes awesome. So next one, second favorite, Dark Quasar, the black IPA. Awesome black IPA. It's been a while since I had a black IPA that was really nice. So hats off. I don't think it's as good as the Neverland, but still really good. 91, I think, something like that. And then, surprisingly, I was really debating on this, but I ended up putting this as number 3, Hot Pot. I really like it, actually. For a hazy, it's really good. Again, I'm not that into hazies anymore, but I love how bright it is and singy and zesty and Southern Hemisphere forward. A straight 90, maybe a 91, something like that. I mean, it's really nice. It's really saturated. It's high for me in terms of hazy. In terms of style, I could probably go higher, but for my preference these days, it's around that territory. And then I think for the Weizen, I'm pretty surprised with this one. It's rare that you get a Weizen from a craft brewery that's any good. But this one is actually surprisingly great. And I want to have an extra sip because I'm still debating the grade in my head a bit on this one. I think the biggest drawback with this is sulfur. It has eggy notes. I was debating going into the 90s range, but I'm not. So like I'm thinking 89, I don't know, 88, something like that. It's pretty good. Like everything else is really nice about it. It's just the sulfur that's a bit too much. And then my least favorite is Ianus and Insanus. A bit weird because this is, I think, the highest rated of the bunch. But if this was without the flavorings, I would score this 90 something. Really good base beer. Maybe 92, 93. It's not like world class for me, but it's really good. But the natural flavorings ruin it for me. Like, it's just so artificial and fake, like ice creamy candy, like chocolate candies or whatever. Like, not even chocolate candies, like just candy bars or something maybe. I'm not sure. It really reminds me of ice creams. You can get these calorically light ice creams that is like a tub is like next to no calories. That's it. And you don't get the same richness and everything with those ice creams as you get real ice cream. And it somewhat reminds me of that, or just like these syrups you put in like at Starbucks. Like it's just too much artificial nuances. The best part of this is the coffee flavor, but I think even the flavoring overshadows that a bit. So in terms of grade of that one, again, base beer alone, maybe in the 90s, but as it is right now, the 85, 87, in that range, this is the champion. High flavor, high drinkability, year of the West Coast lager. So really good stuff. Love this. So yeah, probably the best brewery for me so far from Croatia. I think so. Thanks a ton for watching, guys. Thanks a ton to Dan for the beers. And check out Pulfer. Great new brewery. I don't think they're that new, but great brewery from Croatia that I never heard of. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page, Twitter, and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers in my favorite Never Ever Land. And see you guys in another West Coast lager review. I was about to say brewery showcase even. Cheers.